I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. As Donald Trump tries to do everything to turn his arraignment set to take place today into a complete and utter circus, his lawyers have been filing documents before the Manhattan judge, Judge Juan Merchan, telling the judge that they don't want a circus-like environment, and that's why there should not be cameras inside the courtroom. So in other words, what Donald Trump wants to happen is have all of the propaganda as he engages in the perp walk that he's asking for, his own perp walk, but then doesn't want the cameras in the courtroom to show how weak and what a coward that he is. And so in the motion that he filed before the judge who will be arraigning him, who's been assigned to the case where he has been indicted by a Manhattan grand jury and he will be charged and has been charged, Donald Trump has filed the following motion. His lawyers say, quote, "We have grave concerns that audio-visual recordings of the arraignment will only further exacerbate an already almost circus-like atmosphere around this case." Well, the circus-like environment is created because Donald Trump is on his social media platform every day posting death threats about Alvin Bragg. Donald Trump was the one who falsely put out information that he was going to be arrested like 2 weeks ago, when that was just incorrect and false information. And Donald Trump is the one who is encouraging protests to take place, which seem more like January 6th style insurrection events than peaceful protests, if you read what is being implied by all of the statements that he is making. The attorneys go on to say in their filing, quote, "We believe that any photography or video of the proceeding will detract from both the dignity and decorum of the proceedings and courtroom and will necessarily interfere with the fair administration of justice." And I do want to say this because Donald Trump's lawyers are not thinking this one through. They definitely don't think a few steps ahead. If I'm the district attorney, if I'm Alvin Bragg, I use these words and I basically say, okay, they're now saying, these lawyers are saying they want to be careful of detracting from the dignity and decorum of the proceedings. Here's a photograph of Donald Trump with a baseball bat where he is threatening the district attorney. Here's one of Donald Trump's deranged posts on his social media platform in all caps where he calls the district attorney a total scum. So if I'm the district attorney, I say, okay, well, if you want there to be total decorum, then why don't you agree to a gag order? Why don't you agree to certain limitations? And of course, then Donald Trump's lawyers are going to say, oh, we don't agree with that. So take these words and use them against Donald Trump, because what Trump is trying to create is the opposite of dignity and decorum. Trump's defense attorneys further go on to say, quote, "As your honor is well aware, this case presents extraordinary security concerns, including Secret Service related concerns, and we submit that any video or photography of the proceedings will only heighten these serious concerns." Well, what actually turns out took place is that Donald Trump was offered a very low profile arraignment where it could be done via Zoom. And in fact, the Secret Service assigned to Donald Trump all wanted it to take place over Zoom. But Donald Trump, according to some sources close to him, believe it is a, quote, Jesus Christ kind of thing. Donald Trump is saying, quote, "I'm absorbing all of this pain from all around, from everywhere, so you don't have to. And if they can do this to me, they can do this to you." That's the message that he wants to send, according to sources. So Donald Trump is the one creating a circus-like environment here as well. And again, Trump turned down a quiet arraignment over Zoom. And according to sources and law enforcement who were involved in trying to coordinate a low-profile arraignment, which the district attorney was agreeable to, they said that Donald Trump, quote, "He wanted a perp walk. He wanted it to happen in daylight hours." Quote, He wants to get out of the vehicle and walk up the stairs. This is a nightmare for Secret Service, but they can only suggest, not order, that Trump enter through the secure tunnels. Trump wants to greet the crowd, and this should be a surprise to no one, especially not his detail, and he's trying to do this performance for his supporters. And just so you have the logistics, Trump's arraignment was originally scheduled to take place at 2:30, but law enforcement officials said that he's expected to arrive at the courthouse at 11:30 a.m. And when it's time for him to appear, other people whose bookings are being processed in the courthouse will be temporarily detained. The floor above and below the courtrooms will be secured. Trump is expected to plead not guilty, his lawyers have said, and Trump's legal team is pushing for cameras to be kept out of the courtroom, as I just stated in the legal filing. And that also comes from a Rolling Stone article that has these communications with one of the sources close to Donald Trump, including law enforcement sources as well. I want to show you this video here. This is of Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba. She basically says the exact opposite of what Donald Trump's lawyers put in their motion before Judge Juan Merchan. Alina Habba basically says, I think transparency is a good thing. And if it was my case, she's not a criminal defense lawyer. She goes, I usually like transparency in the courtroom, but there shouldn't be a mugshot. Here, play this clip.
The perfect person to have on now is Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba. She represents the former president in several ongoing civil cases, but is not a part of his criminal defense team dealing with this indictment in New York. Alina, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start where they left off. Does the former president or his legal team, do you support the transparency of having cameras in the courtroom?
I think it depends. I think this whole rigmarole, really, for lack of better words, has been through leaks, which I don't appreciate as an attorney. I think that transparency is very important. I'm going to leave that decision to the criminal team, but as somebody who's represented the president in court, I like transparency. I think that in certain situations, it's a good thing. I do have a problem with leaking of pictures. I think that because we're in a campaign, because he's the leading GOP candidate, it's not going to help anything. But
you're talking
I know that,
about the possibility.
He'll be transparent.
You're talking about the possibility of a mugshot. You would prefer not to have a mugshot of the former president. Is that what you're saying, Alina?
I don't see a purpose in it. The reality is, like the person prior mentioned, mugshots are for people so that you recognize who they are. He is the most recognized face in the world, let alone the country right now. So there's no need for that. There's no need for the theatrics, no.
Does the former president and do the legal team, the unsealing of the document, do you support that? Does he support that?
Yes, I mean, I think it will happen no matter what. I would like to see what the basis is for this. Let's remember that the real crime here that we have is that DA Bragg did leak that there were 30 to 34 counts. We already know that. That in itself is a felony. You are not to let that go. So at this point, I mean, and I like everybody in this country to be treated the same no matter who you are.
We don't know if the DA leaked that information. That is speculation.
Well, we don't have that information, so... Well, it's not speculation. We don't have the information. So it came from their office.
Okay. So your client has attacked the judge in this case, posting online that the judge hates him, that he was handpicked by Bragg and the prosecutors, and that he railroaded and strong-armed Alan Weisselberg. Why would he do that?
I think that's a fact. I think that we have many judges, frankly, and I'm before some of them, who have shown a venomous and vitriol against President Trump that is like nothing we've ever seen in the state of New York. And practicing for as many years as I have, I've never seen cases move so fast unless they're Donald Trump. I've never seen lopsided discovery issues. And I think he has a serious concern. I think that's how he feels, and he has a right to voice that. It's a First Amendment right.
And you notice what Alina Habba also says there? She says that the real felony that's being being committed here is by Alvin Bragg, and she just baselessly accuses Alvin Bragg of committing a felony and accuses him of leaking the accounts in the indictment. By the way, Judge Juan Merchan has ordered a limited unsealing order whereby the district attorney's office is allowed to discuss the fact that an indictment took place. There absolutely is no felony that took place at all, and she's just completely lying. And just so you know, this is just the talking point that the MAGA extremists make, the same way they call insurrectionists patriots and they now sing songs with the J6 choir. This is Jesse Waters from Fox using the same talking point and saying, oh, it was actually Alvin Bragg who's a felon. Play this clip.
The Manhattan DA just sat there and went like that. But they're looking at this. This is crazy. Bragg is the one that committed the felony. Judge knows this right here. It is a felony, unlawful grand jury disclosure. How do we know what's in this indictment? How does CNN know this? Because someone in the Manhattan DA's office leaked this. That's a felony. That we know is a felony, unless CNN is on the jury. And we know that's not true. So we have a case shut right there. Bragg is a felon. And he's trying to make a career for himself over this. And Bragg has interfered in this election more than Russia has or China has combined.
And so the level of propaganda and disinformation coming out of the right-wing echo chamber is just completely disgusting. I mean, accusing the district attorney of being a felon, having all of these posts threatening violence to the district attorney, and then having the audacity to then separately file in the courthouse before Judge Juan Merchan saying that any photography or video would detract from both the dignity and decorum of the proceedings. Total and utter gaslighting, but it's not going to work. Judge Juan Merchan is very experienced, clearly will know what's going on here, and will definitely have control of his courtroom. And so when Donald Trump and his lawyers don't get their way by whining and getting the treatment that they get from their cult followers before a judge who actually administers justice, who administers law and order, you could probably expect more posts from Donald Trump attacking the judge, attacking the prosecutor, and becoming completely and utterly unhinged. We will see what happens, though, and we'll keep you posted here at the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Ben Meiselas. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers here, so please hit subscribe right now. Also, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Become a member of our Patreon. We got a lot of exclusive membership benefits there, but most importantly, it helps grow this independent media platform since we're not funded by outside investors. Check out our podcast by searching MeidasTouch Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And finally, you can also search for us on Instagram, search for MeidasTouch, and follow us on Instagram. All right, hit subscribe on this YouTube channel. Help us get to 1.5 million subscribers. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Thank you for watching.
Lock him up! Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment Season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.meidastouch.com.